Patients aren't safe at GP surgeries. This is because of a lack of time GPs spend with patients, misdiagnoses and administrative issues. A recent poll of 1,395 GPs found that only 13% said their practice was safe for patients all the time. Meanwhile, 85% expressed concerns about patient safety. 2% said that their patients were rarely safe. 22% said they were safe some of the time, and 61% said that they were safe most of the time. It's concerning stuff, isn't it? Apparently, GPs are so overworked they will end up making the wrong decision and patients will suffer as a result. But I just don't really buy into that GP narrative. They claim staff shortages are the problem, i.e. we need more GPs, and yeah, fine, I'm sure we do. But what I think people will find really interesting is that former Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt had pledged an extra 5,000 GPs by 2020, but he claims that he missed that target because more retired early than joined. So, in essence, the money is so good as a GP that you're able to check out early and put your feet up. What age are you going to be able to retire people at home? Does your job pay you enough to put loads of money away in a gold-plated pension? We all know that there's a huge backlog in the NHS. Waiting lists, of course, are at record levels and are set to increase. And in fact, it's predicted that in a couple of years' time, we could have almost a fifth of our population on an NHS waiting list. There have been something like 750,000 missed cancer referrals. People spending their life savings paying to go private for routine operations. And at the same time, figures from NHS Digital show that GPs earn an average of 98 grand a year. There are also 7,447 GPs with incomes of between £100,000 and £200,000 a year. Now, I'm all for people being well paid, don't get me wrong, but when one of the reasons that we have a GP shortage is because they're so well paid that they can retire young, then I suggest other GPs don't have too much of a leg to stand on when it comes to complaining about the shortage of doctors. We desperately need to clear this backlog in our NHS, and one way, of course, to do that is to make GPs' practices open at weekends, and now the government is introducing that very measure, to work from 9 till 5 p.m. on a Saturday. This is common sense. There has to be more time available for patients to get the appointments that they need. How have GPs reacted? Well, they've said they're bitterly disappointed, and it would demolish their spirits and devalue their goodwill. Goodwill? I don't recall there being too much goodwill involved in misdiagnosing people over FaceTime instead of seeing them in person. Also, there's a little bit of manipulation of the figures going on here in terms of GP workload. So apparently, the total appointments delivered in general practice last year was 367 million, the highest ever, and 17% higher than for 2019, before the pandemic, of course, happened. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you realise that a total of 29.1 million appointments happened in general practice in the December, right, of which 3.9 million were COVID vaccinations. And GP practices will receive £15 for each jab given from Monday to Saturday, that's up from £12.58, and £20 for jabs on Saturdays and bank holiday vaccinations. So it would appear that GPs are taking time out of patient appointments to administer vaccines, for which they are paid quite handsomely. GPs seem very quick to play the pity card. In reality, it's the patients who I feel more sorry for. Patients who are probably on a lot less money than their doctor, struggling to get an appointment, who are misdiagnosed, only to be told that it can't possibly be the doctor's fault. Bear in mind that GPs have a very powerful union behind them. I think it's time someone stood up for the patients.